Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, listeners and viewers from coast to coast and worldwide to a very special Monday edition of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. It is Monday, the
September
4th.
Yeah,
that's right, of September. Already, I hope all of you folks had a great, I want to say Memorial Day, Labor Day weekend. In studio with me is Joe Hagmann. He's my son. We are together. We are the Director and Associate Director of the Northeast Intelligence Network on the Internet at HomelandSecurityUS.com.
and I'm going to apologize for the rustling around before the show. We got two separate phone calls from two different people, and my father sat down about 10 seconds after the show started.
That's what
Lots
happens.
of good news, lots of updates, and
lots of
special
news,
guest tonight.
Yeah, let's take care of this first, because this gentleman's had a long day. Folks, you remember Mr. Keith Hansen. Keith from when was he on?
He was on with us on Monday. I think it Monday?
You know what? Let's
Monday or a Tuesday.
Keith Hansen from the Keith Hansen Show. Keith, are you with us?
I am. Good evening, Doug, Joe. It's actually I'm watching you on video. It's good to see you guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Excellent.
Where I look? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, I don't have a webcam though, so that you probably don't want to see me right now.
Anybody who would like to watch the video live, go to www.homelandsecurity.us1.tk.
Yeah, I still
and
haven't figured that out.
I'll take you to the live video stream.
Yeah, and I apologize for the rustling beforehand. Seriously, I was talking to Keith. We had another phone call just right before the show started. But anyway, Keith, it's good to have you on, and of course, Keith, tell us, remind everyone where they can find you. You're a Naples talk show host.
Naples, we're based out of Naples, Florida, but
right.
We have had, over the past 2 months, just an unbelievable surge in interest from across the country. So I'm proud to say that 98.9 FM WGUF in Naples is our home studio, but of course we are broadcasting across the country and now, in fact, around the world. So a lot of people are really interested, and I certainly appreciate that.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, still prominent on our website is the link to Keith Hansen, his show, his Facebook page. And if you haven't already done so, travel on over to the Keith Hansen Show Facebook page. Click like, because I'm going to tell you something, like-minded people. And I think, Keith, and you and I think we're of like minds.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
So we need to stick together in these trying times. But Keith called me, and he said, you know something? He said, I got taken to task by one of your listeners here, and want to clear up some misconceptions.
Well, that happens to sometimes us too, Keith.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you got to see the emails we get. Yeah, Keith, what's up? It's about profiling, I think.
Well, just first of all, understand that I'm pretty thick-skinned, so I don't automatically respond to the first thing that people say. But I think this is important because one of the things when I was on your show last week, I was talking about security and about profiling and how the Israelis had actually made an offer to the administrators at Logan International Airport. And I think this is really timely, too, because we are coming up next Tuesday, a week from today, we're coming up on the 11th anniversary of September 11th. So this is, again, something that I think needs to be brought up and discussed because I remember after that tragedy, the bumper stickers and the flag waving and the patriotism and the we will never forget, we will never forget, we will never forget. And you know something? We forgot. There's an awful lot of people that have forgotten. And it's amazing how quickly and how rapidly that patriotism waned. It was really sad. So, in talking about that last week, and it hadn't even really dawned on me the proximity to September 11th, but we were talking about profiling and how the Israeli government and members of the Israeli security, not detail, but the administration, for lack of a better term, had actually made profiling services and profile training available to the administrators at Logan International Airport. And one of your listeners emailed me on Facebook and said, quote, I listened to you on the Hagmann and Hagmann report. You were talking about preserving freedom, but then you turn around and suggest profiling. Profiling is a violation of your constitutional rights. Sure, they start with Muslims, but if you profile on the basis of the MEAC report, then you and I will be some of the people being profiled, end quote. Now, the MEAC report is actually, it's a document that came out in February of 2009 from the, largely in part from the Missouri Highway Patrol. Missouri Information Analysis Center is what the acronym MEAC stands for. And MEAC was basically a report. It was a strategic report on the modern militia movement. And it was basically an exploratory document into the modern militia movement and the anti-government movements. So that's what the listener was referring to in the MEAC report. There's a lot of confusion about profiling. Profiling has really become a four-letter word. And I'm curious before I go into my explanation of it, Doug, what is your understanding of profiling?
Well, okay, in terms of security, Keith, there's only really one type of profiling that I'm familiar with and I'm in favor of, and that's behavioral profiling.
Correct.
I mean, and we do it all the time in everyday life, and our lives depend on it. I mean,
you look at police investigating drug dealers. They will profile an area, a neighborhood, a specific house to see the activities and behaviors that go on at that residence. Not so much profiling the people that go in and out, but
situational profile. I mean, that's different than behavioral profiling.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, so Keith, does that answer your question? I mean, because that's what.
No, you hit the nail on the head right there. It's behavioral profiling. There's, of course, I don't know how. I mean, I've only recently been introduced to you in your program, so I'm not too familiar with how much you've gone into this. But I have a law enforcement background, both as an operator, as an instructor, and a trainer for both firearms and defensive tactics and use of force and everything else. So, profiling is something that is taught.
Right.
In the academies, and of course, it is a behavioral profiling. If it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck. And the idea of profiling, you hit the nail on the head. We profile every single day of our lives. When we walk out of a supermarket and we see a suspicious-looking person, we make a decision based upon the visual cues and the behavior that person is giving out or giving off, and we move or adapt to keep ourselves safe in that environment. So we profile all the time, and profiling is something that we've been doing ever since we were cave people. As we were looking out, we were looking for threats, and it's the profiling that helps to keep us alive. And I think I had mentioned on your show previously about how people behave according to scripts. And when I'm talking to people, and especially when I'm talking to people who are victims of crimes, they will say to me, I knew something wasn't right, but I couldn't tell what was wrong, because the person who perpetrated the crime initially, they were operating outside of the script, what was normal for that environment. Right. However, the victim lacked the context with which to understand the visual cues that he or she was seeing. So, again, we're talking about profiling in that sense. There are a number of different programs. One is and I would encourage your listeners to Google these terms. The Reed method of conversational interrogation. Wicklander-Zulaski. Both programs I'm a certified operator in, and they are conversational interrogation techniques. You sit down, you have a conversation with somebody, and you recognize, again, the neuromechanics and the neurolinguistics of people that are deceiving you or attempting to deceive you.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about stopping a person, obviously you need a warrant to arrest a person, or you need a warrant to search a person. But there's a lower stop that's known colloquially as the Terry stop, and it's from a Supreme Court case, Terry versus Ohio. And it's basically what we used to call in Massachusetts the threshold inquiry, where you need probable cause to make an arrest. You need a lesser burden of proof to conduct that investigatory stop, which is called the threshold inquiry or the Terry stop. And this is reasonable articulable suspicion. If I can reasonably articulate the suspicion that I have that a crime is either about to be committed, is in the process of being committed, or was being committed, I am allowed to stop that person and temporarily detain that person to gather more information about what it is that I'm suspicious of. It doesn't mean that I can now deprive that person of their constitutional rights, but I do have a right to stop that person temporarily, to identify who they are, and to ascertain whether or not my suspicions are correct. So in terms of profiling, when we're talking about people that are going through an airport, for instance, rather than selecting people with really arbitrary triggers, and I talked to you about this off the air, the Muhammad Atta, who was the lead hijacker in 9/11, was stopped for enhanced security screens when he was flying from Portland International Jetport in Portland, Maine, to Boston the morning of the hijackings. He was stopped. But these people have never been trained in what to look for, these people that are conducting these security screens. So again, without the context to understand anything that may or may not be suspicious, he was cleared.
Right.
Additionally, 5 of the other hijackers were stopped for, there was a group when they actually went through security, they were in a group of 5, and all 5 of these people were stopped for enhanced security screens. And again, because there was no context with which to understand any suspicious behavior, all 5 of these people were cleared and allowed to go on their way. And we know the tragic end to that story.
Right.
So again, it would be a situation of having somebody who was trained in what to look for and having a conversation with somebody and then having reasonable articulable suspicion that something's not right. We need to temporarily detain this person to find out more. And if now there's probable cause to arrest that person because the probable cause exists that a crime has been, is being, or is about to be committed, then fantastic. Have at it.
Right, exactly.
There's nothing unconstitutional about temporarily detaining a person or temporarily stopping a person for reasonable articulable suspicion that a crime has been committed or is in the process of being committed.
Or to put it simply, for cause. I mean, look, you're exactly right. And folks are talking about behavioral profiling. The Israelis use this, exceptionally well, even down to micro expressions.
Absolutely. When's the last time that a what is it? I can't remember what the name of their airline is.
LL.
What is it?
LL.
LL. Thank you.
Right.
When's the last time that an LL plane has been hijacked?
1976. No. It's been a long time.
I mean, yeah, if it was 76 or 78 or even 1980, the bottom line is that for a country that is so absolutely hated, for a country that is the sheep in a den of wolves, they do a pretty damn good job of keeping themselves safe.
Oh, yeah.
They keep a pretty damn good job of keeping their citizens out of harm's way, and they do it because they're smart about it.
That's right.
Because for them, it's about security. It's not about the erosion of individual rights and the creeping incrementalism of a police state.
And if we would employ the Israeli behavioral profiling, there'd be no need for this these nuclear scanners or these enhanced pat-downs, in my estimation.
And if there was a real threat, they would not have a safe travelers program where you can pay an extortion fee, get biometric data taken, and not have to go through the scanners. They have these frequent business flyers who are able to.
That I agree with, because you can fool them once.
You get a sleeper cells that just like they say the 9/11 hijackers were living normal lives, carrying out normal jobs, who could get on a trusted traveler program very simply, by working for a company for a few years and taking regular flights, and then bypass security whenever they want to take down a plane.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Keith? The concept, at least conceptually, of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure.
In fact, Joe, I have coming up on my show this weekend, I have the program director of the flight school, Huffman Aviation, out of Venice, Florida. And this gentleman actually worked directly with Muhammad Atta and the other guy, Marwan.
Yeah.
So he has intimate knowledge of this, and actually he's actually in a firearms class that I'm conducting. That's actually why I've had a 12-hour day today teaching firearms. But he's actually in my class right now. We actually went to lunch and had a really interesting conversation about it. And I said to him, if there was a situation where you suspected something and you had, first of all, was there anything suspicious about these people? And he said, absolutely not. You know, I mean, these people were, you know, they were Arabs, so they treated women horribly. It was a little bit odd that, you know, that they were willing to go to a bar and drink beer, because I was under the impression, you know, this is him relaying this. I'm under the impression that, you know, that these people didn't drink, which it's actually interesting. They will drink and they will fornicate right before jihad. So I guess maybe that's a warning sign. But the foregoing notwithstanding, there was absolutely nothing suspicious about these people whatsoever. And I asked him, I took it one step further, and I said, if you actually did have something that you could report, something that you felt was really suspicious and just, you know, was just something, again, to use that phrase I've used in the past, something wasn't right, but you couldn't tell what was wrong, and you had reported this, what would have happened? And he said, absolutely nothing, because before 9/11, we didn't have a 9/11, so we weren't thinking about people taking flight lessons and using airplanes as weapons of mass destruction.
Keith, I got a question. Is this the gentleman that stated that the way that they flew the Cessnas, that he did not believe they were able to fly these big jet jumbo airplanes?
No.
Okay.
No, I think that was Voss that actually made that statement.
Okay.
But I'm not going to I'm not going to mention this gentleman's name right now. But we're gonna, like I said, we'll kind of do everything on Saturday when we have our.
And now your show is from 12 to 1 Eastern Time, and people can find you at KeithOnTheAir.com. That's KeithOnTheAir.com, and you're out of Naples, Florida. And of course, from our website, HomelandSecurityUS.com, click on the like button or the link to Facebook, and there you are, right on Facebook. It's good to see you there.
Well, I certainly appreciate all the all the help that and the exposure that you've given us. So, it's good to know that our message is getting out, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to reach out to so many people and to have so many people being a part of what I'm trying to do every week. So,
we had an excellent response to you coming on. For days and days, and you can, our numbers, we can check how many people archive the show through just
you're a very popular guy.
Yeah, you have a high archive number. People really have spread the word around about the show and are downloading it, putting it up on YouTube, and it's getting out there.
Absolutely.
Well, it was funny because when I got home, my fiancée said to me, she said, maybe you should do more of these shows because the more you talk out there, the less you talk at home. And she likes it quiet, so she does. The last thing she wants to hear is me bloviating about politics. So.
I've got the same situation. So I understand. Well, very good, Keith. Anything else? Because I know you had a long day. Is there anything else that you want to?
No, I think that's it. I'm going to be taking to task. Oh, actually, let me bring this up. I'm going to have your show be the very, very first public forum besides Facebook that I'm doing this.
All right.
But I'm going to be addressing the pinko, communist, arrogant, self-righteous, pompous, arrogant, moron lobbyists, never had a real job in my life, lobbyists that run an organization called the Second Chance Campaign. These idiots, and I do use the word idiot because these people, again, have never worked a real job in their lives except to be lobbyists with leftist organizations.
Right.
These are the idiots that have made it a point to come to the public forums here in Florida and bloviate about the Stand Your Ground law, which they have jokingly referred to as the James Bond License to Kill law, or the Shoot First, Ask Questions Later law, or the Get Out of Jail Free law, because somehow, some way, they feel that you don't have a right to defend yourselves against an unlawful use of force or a violent attack.
Right. Not only that,
and that's fine. I don't have a problem with them having their opinion on that. But they very, very curtly put it today after I spent 3 months trying to get somebody from that organization, specifically Virginia Simmons. She is the director of this, but Virginia Simmons has absolutely no contact information out there because she doesn't want to be contacted. And it was evident when they responded to my request today, and they said secondchancecampaign.org has no interest in conducting an interview on your radio program at this time.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So
why not?
Yeah, I'm on their website. Second Chance on Shoot First. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
it's partnered with Bloomberg too, by the way. So
these are the people that want you to be intruded on in your home and not have the means to protect yourself. And if you do use violent force when your life or your family's lives are in imminent danger, want to charge you for it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, to me, second chance is if you miss the first time, you get them the second time. I don't know.
There you go. But I'll tell you something. You know what? The quickest way to take one of these pinko commie bastards and actually turn them around is to victimize them. And I hope it never happens. I hope it never happens to these people. But I'll tell you something else. I absolutely guarantee you, and I've seen Virginia Simmons, and I absolutely guarantee you that Virginia Simmons would never, ever, ever walk alone through one of the neighborhoods that she claims she's trying to save the lives of those people who live there.
Unbelievable. Wow. Well, how old is this organization? This is the first I've heard of it, so I don't... I mean, is this very old, or this organization, Second Chance?
It popped up after the Trayvon Martin situation.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
And again, of course, that's the politically expedient, opportunistic news story now that we're trying to utilize to. Basically, let's call it what it is. Instead of, why don't we create a model law that they actually want to draft and call it the Reinforcement of Criminal Behavior Law?
Okay. Wow.
Because that's all it is, And again, here's the thing. I don't have any problem with again, I respect somebody's right to have their own opinion. Listen, have your own opinion. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're going to bloviate and you're going to try to affect public policy and you are going to keep a Ziploc mouth about it, you know what? Why don't you put yourself in a position where you actually have to rely on common sense and logic and fact to build your argument? You know what? You can't, because your argument would not hold water.
Exactly.
Right. And I know that your time is short, Keith. I got a message from one of my buddies that you possibly might be a guest on one of his shows, and also you might be up in our area for some time being. I don't know when that will be. But if you are in our area, we should get together.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think Doug mentioned something about a steak. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I see. Keith, you had to tell him, didn't you? I mean,
he won't spring for one. I will.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. No, I'll actually be up in the Erie area. Between I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between New York and Western Pennsylvania and Eastern Pennsylvania, but I'll be up from the 20th of September through the 6th of October.
Awesome.
Sounds great. So yeah, we'll hook up and treat you to dinner. We'll talk some more, and hey, we'll go from there. But in the meantime, look, get some rest, my friend.
I'm going to.
Say. All right,
and
buddy.
Folks,
all right, have a great night.
You too, man. Take it easy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was Keith Hansen.
Yeah.
Keith Hansen from the Keith Hansen Show. Folks, visit his website, keithontheair.com. That's keithontheair.com. It's amazing how many people that we get to know and become friends with. And I got to tell you what, look, this guy does think like we think. When he talks about profiling, it's behavioral profiling. It's not.
And even I understand what the concern was. But
I really don't. I really don't, though.
No, people are talking about profiling in the sense where if you see a certain, racial or ethnic person, that you stop them on that basis alone, thinking like,
that's
when
not
you say
behavioral profiling.
No. But I'm seeing how profiling can get confused.
Oh yeah.
The term, behavioral profiling versus racial profiling. I mean, that's a big difference.
Or even, if somebody says, well, geez, you're a Christian. Well, how do you know I'm a Christian? Unless I'm carrying even if I was carrying a Bible, that doesn't mean anything. Again, it's all about behavioral profiling. And I'll tell you what, the Israelis are very good at it. And
yes, they are.
They can pick out things that can and do, or they can prevent some things from happening. Anyway,
we have a lot of announcements tonight. Show announcements, guest announcements, and changes for our show that you guys should be
and then hard news too.
Happy to hear.
Or not.
I will post the article up in the chat room, but if you would like, go to our website at homelandsecurityus.com and click on the article Important Changes Announced.
Yep.
Here you will find our latest plans for our radio show, changes, and what you can expect upcoming.
That's right.
In the near future for our show. And I'll start off by reading this first sentence. The Northeast Intelligence Network, Team K9 Productions, and the Hagmann and Hagmann Report are pleased to announce very exciting changes to our collective operations.
That's true.
First and foremost, we would like to thank everyone for making the Hagmann and Hagmann Report one of the most popular and fastest-growing talk radio shows on the Internet. We are a listener-supported show, and thank everyone from the bottom of our hearts for helping us make this program your program. And I want to say, really, this goes out to all the listeners, whether it's archived, computer, phone, you listen to it from a rock. God bless each and every one of you, because we need each and every one of you.
That's right.
We could not have built what we have built without you. We wouldn't have built what we built without you.
And it's you and it's the listeners and God.
Yeah, and God, really. God's help, your prayers, and we also want to thank Cuban Christians United Broadcasting Network for broadcasting our show live on video every day. Starting October 1st, as we've been talking about doing for a while, we are going to go to a 3-hour show a night, starting at 8 p.m., only going an hour extra to 11. So it will be the same show time, just an hour later we will end. So 3 hours show on a regular basis, starting October 1st, that first Monday in October.
And beginning today, now this is kind of a, folks, you have to just bear with us. We are going full-time to this show and to maintaining our website as a portal of information, of not an aggregate of news, but a portal of unique information, investigation, that type of thing. And that starts today. And we are going to be putting up just massive amounts of information, news from a Christian perspective. And analysis from a Christian perspective, Judeo-Christian perspective.
Right, and as there are some more shows emerging doing the same thing that Rick Wilds is doing, that we're trying to do, and other people, Pastor Begley, Radio Preacher Man.
Rick Wilds and Pastor Begley, that'd be great.
But to see more people starting to do this, start their own shows, I mean, this is how we get it done. We all got to branch out on our own and find our own ways to affect the community positively by spreading the word of the Lord, the salvation that is offered, and the truth, biblical, constitutional, that is being ignored by almost everybody right now.
And there's another aspect to it as well, and that aspect is preparation. If we know what's coming, we need to know how to prepare. A lot of times people, if they know something's coming, they can prepare wisely. And that's what we want to help you do. We don't want to throw a bunch of information out there and say, oh man, the sky's falling, and I mean the cash is going to dry up. You're going to go to an ATM, you're not going to be able to get money out, and you're going to, there's going to be blood in the streets. I mean, certainly that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, what do you do about it when it does happen? Who do you call? Who's on the list of people for you to call? Can we have like a group of like-minded people, which is why I said, go ahead and click the like button on Keith Hanson's Facebook page, because, again, we're like-minded people. We want to stick together.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing. So we hope to have that information, offer that information, more of that information, both practically and spiritually, and that's where we're going to go. So
yeah. With that, we're going to start with some...
one more thing. I'm going to be on Coast to Coast tonight with George Norrie.
2 more things, that and Thursday, this Thursday, the 7th...
briefly, by the way.
From 9 to midnight, we will be having special guest Steve Quayle, as well as Dr. Paul... I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hagstrom. I'm sorry. Hagstrom. Paul Hagstrom. He is
very well-renowned individual.
Yes, the title of the show will be PTSD, Post-Traumatic Stress Syndrome, Its Causes and Cures. His website is www.lifeskillsintl.org. He is a world-renowned author and a professional, one of the world-leading professionals in post-traumatic stress disorders, and he's going to come on and we're going to combat this anti-veteran sentiment that has been being played out in the media. And he is going to talk about the real causes of post-traumatic stress syndrome, what the dangers and effects are, and how it could be cured. And with Steve Quayle for the whole 3 hours. So should be a great show. And also for those who didn't hear last week, September 12th, we are going to be having a 3-hour show with Henry Groover and Steve Quayle, which should be just a fantastic show. So this Thursday, 9 to midnight, and a week from now, Wednesday, 9 to midnight, with Steve Quayle, one with Henry Groover, one with this Dr. Paul Hagstrom, and neither show you will want to miss. They should be excellent.
I should point out it's Hagstrom.
Hagstrom. I'm sorry.
No, I started it with Hagstrom. But Hagstrom, he wrote the book Angry
Broken
Man.
Children.
Well, he wrote a couple of books.
Yeah.
The one that I particularly think is really interesting is Angry Men and the Women Who Love Them. Okay, seriously.
No,
the book itself is a great read. You've got to read this book if you're in a relationship, a destructive relationship, even in the bad times. I mean, look, you still have to carry on. You still have to live life, and if you are in an abusive relationship, this is a book for you. Okay.
Yeah. And abuse comes in many forms. You could be talking about mental abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse. There's just a whole.
But Dr. Hagstrom is going to be talking with us on Thursday about the PTSD, as you mentioned, Joe, and about how the vets are being demonized and classified, and what the real basis of this PTSD designation and what's going on. Steve Quayle did a wonderful job on. I don't know when he interviewed him, but on Life Skills International, which is the website, but it's abbreviated. But LSI Denver, Life Skills International.
Yeah.
There's an audio recording of Steve and Dr. Paul.
Yeah, and I'm going to be checking those out. I hope you guys do as well before he comes on. With that, we are going to jump right into the news. We're going to start off with the TSA. Video shows TSA's bizarre new security policy. We also have a video clip with not much audio content for those of you watching on our video streams.
We've got to show you this, folks. Joe, you can narrate this.
I'll post. Let me find the article, and I will post the article. So if you guys would like to watch the video, who are just listening and who are archiving or listening through archives, can go back and find it. It's on InfoWars, also up on Drudge Report. It's TSA says bizarre new policy is business as usual.
Right.
And this is the TSA testing drinks after they are purchased beyond the security lines. And there's a video of this that.
Now, how long is the
only
video?
A minute 17.
And once the video starts, you can narrate what's going on for the people who are video challenged or not, as you say, or listening on archive or whatever. But I think it's important again to tell people what's going on, and then after the video, we're going to tell people why this is taking place.
Right. So go ahead.
So at your leisure.
Yep, go ahead and start the video. And like I said, the audio content is not excellent on this video. It's just showing the TSA actually testing the drinks. But what we see here is a video clip shot yesterday at Columbus Airport illustrates how the TSA had dreamed up a bizarre new way to waste time and taxpayer dollars by testing drinks purchased by travelers for explosions inside the airport long after they have already passed security. The footage shows TSA agents walking around a departure lounge asking to test passenger drinks for explosive residue with a swab they hold over the liquid. Now, folks worried about biological agents being spread around by the government in very deceitful ways, this could easily be one of them. Who knows what they're using with these swabs? And that audio is people, TSA talking to people who've passed security asking to test their drinks, walking around to random people asking to test their drinks. And now it says, now remember that this is inside the terminal, well beyond the security check, and the people are just waiting to get on the plane, writes the YouTube user who uploaded the video.
line up. A1 should be the first in line. A30 should be the last in line.
And the person who shot this says, my wife and son came back from the coffee shop just around the corner.
Pause that, Troy.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, just keep that pause for a second, because go ahead and just pause it right. Can we zoom in on
what they're doing?
Yeah, is there I don't want to cause him any grief, but you can see right there.
Well, this is what happened here. This person who filmed this went to the coffee shop after they passed through security, and they were stopped by one of the TSA ladies checking for explosives and chemicals as they were drinking them. And this is from the YouTuber. He says, I said, really? Inside the terminal? You have got to be kidding me. I asked them if they wanted to swab us all. She responded with something like, yes, sometimes we need to do that. Then I asked if she wanted a urine sample. Nonetheless, the TSA is way out of control, he adds, joking the TSA's next move could be to visit people's homes before they even leave for the airport. And that is completely true. And InfoWars, as this is on, says they previously reported the drink policy was recently introduced with virtually no explanation from the TSA whatsoever. And the much vaunted 2006 liquid bomb plot on which this nonsense is all based on completely collapsed in court and was revealed to be a joke at best, or not true at best.
Well, it was contrived. And folks, remember us talking about this? We talked about this on this very show.
And this has been going on for at least 5 years now. It's come out. At least 5 years they've been doing this in airports across the country.
Yeah, and here's the problem that we have with this, and here's why. Well, folks, I don't know. I mean, aside from the conditioning factor, anyone want to take a guess or a stab at why they're doing this? Joe?
Why are they doing this?
Why are they doing this?
This is more conditioning. This is more...
Aside from the conditioning factor,
we can do whatever we want to you and your property without you having a say. And if you step or you talk out about it or you refuse it, you are labeled a terrorist. You will not be allowed on your flight. You will be detained, arrested, hassled, and marked and labeled for the rest of the life.
You know, maybe that aside from the conditioning, maybe I shouldn't have said that, because that's in fact what I believe that is taking place here.
And like I said before, who knows that if the government doesn't have plans to release biological agents into the air, if they wouldn't do it by means of checking these drinks, what better way than to swab or to input some kind of virus under the name of swabbing for explosives in an airport where people are flying all over the place and the disease would spread like a wildfire. I mean, it's not out of the question, definitely, and definitely not out of the ordinary.
Look, I guess not. But to bring it back to earth here, look, I believe that what is taking place, and then I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we are being pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed to a point where even the most outrageous and nonsensical type of behavior of activities against the American public they are being accepted. And next, it'll be, look, they're not going to stop with these drink swabs. Because one or two things is the reason for this. Number one, they believe that their security is such that someone is able to get a drink or a liquid into or past the checkpoint. So they are, obviously, they do not have faith in their own security.
Yeah, and I got to
wait a second. Or number two, well, the only other option is they're preparing for it's more than conditioning. It's they're actually preparing to take us to even more invasive procedures.
Yeah, and I got a text message today I want to read that has to do with this. I won't say who sent it, but just that for people who've already decided to stop flying, this doesn't pertain to you. Why are they checking security or drinks at security at the airport? They may try to plant stuff to detain people. I don't think people should ever fly again, and I think that's good advice. Not as long as we have these Nazi-style security measures in place No, you should not fly. And if you fly, you should not comply, especially with the TSA.
That's
Don't
right.
walk through naked body scanners. Don't subject yourself to sexual harassment or abuse, or especially your family. If you have to fly, if you absolutely have no choice and have to fly, keep your family home. Just don't take them. But other than that, we can talk about the TSA all day.
But look, I just don't think. I mean, I personally, I believe, Joe, in my heart that this is a test, and I believe some scientists, a group of psychologists somewhere are saying, okay, well now we have this nonsensical maneuver in place. Now let's see if we can push them into doing this or that, A, B, or C. And as strange as that may sound, can you think of a different reason why they would look at some sort of compound after security? I mean, this is well into the secured area. So.
Yeah. Moving on.
We've got a number of issues here.
I got for folks not in this room with us, I got a document with show prep up for you with some stories.
Yeah, I've got this.
We have some news coming out of the Democratic National Convention. A few things.
This is crazy.
Some economic news. A half-released audit of the Fed, or if you call it audit of the Fed, a dire warning by Jim Rogers, an economist, and Ron Paul on how long the dollar will remain the world's reserve currency. But first, Democratic platform at the DNC endorses taxpayer-funded abortions. The 2012 Democratic Party will officially adopt an extreme position on the issue of abortion on Tuesday, according to a copy of the party platform, which was released online just before midnight on Monday. The Democratic Party strongly and unequivocally supports Roe v. Wade and the woman's right to make her own decisions regarding her pregnancy, including a safe and legal abortion regardless of ability to pay. Regardless of ability to pay. Well, what does that mean? Somebody else is going to pick up the tab. So, now, the last part, regardless of the ability to pay, is an endorsement of the taxpayer-funded abortions, the policy President Obama has personally endorsed. Obama wants Medicaid to pay directly for elective abortions, and Obamacare will allow beneficiaries to use federal subsidies to purchase health care plans that cover elected abortions. Yeah. And it goes on to say that 2009 poll, 72% of voters opposed public funding of abortions, and 23% supported it. And it says...
really? I mean, really, that's what the poll said.
Yeah, I don't even believe that. I believe more people support abortions than that.
I do as well.
And on this godless topic of the DNC and abortions, exclusives, Democrats drop God from party platform. Guess what? God's name has been removed from the DNC platform. This is the paragraph that was in the 2008 platform. We need a government that stands up for the hopes, values, and interests of working people and gives everyone willing to work hard the chance to make the most of their God-given potential. Now the word God-given has been removed. The paragraph has been restricted to say this: we gather to reclaim the basic bargain that built the largest middle class and the most prosperous nation on the earth. The simple principle that in America hard work should pay off, responsibility should be rewarded, and each one of us should be able to go as far as our talent and drive take us.
That's right.
We can't work hard enough to have a chance to make the most of our God-given rights. Now we have to go as far as our talent and drive take us. Well, who gives us that talent? Who gives us that drive? That's my question. Our Creator. Our Creator gives us certain talents. Each one of us tasked with certain abilities,
Mother Earth,
talents, and we know what our strengths and weaknesses are. The Lord gave us those strengths. The Lord, if we are having a relationship with Jesus Christ, will guide us in the direction He wants us to go. I firmly believe that no matter what situation you're in, you could be, have nothing, living in a homeless shelter right now, but if you put your mind to it, you trust in the Lord, and you do what He says, He will provide for you.
Now I'll say this: there is one section in the DNC, and folks, you might not really understand. Well, what's this Democratic National Committee platform? It's their section of beliefs. That's all it is. It's like their constitution, if you will. Well, there is one section on faith, if you can believe this. You drop God from the equation. Why have a section on faith? But there's a section on faith, and they say that faith has always been a central part of the American story, and it's been a driving force of progress and justice throughout history. Well, then why drop God from this? But that's my thing.
Right.
Okay, and it does say faith-based organizations will always be critical allies in meeting the challenges that face our nation and world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, from domestic and global poverty to climate change and human trafficking. Oh, man. Okay. I guess my question is, why even bother getting into the faith? What are they believing in? Well, obviously they're believing in something differently.
It's like Melinda Gates saying she's Catholic, but promoting eugenics.
Right.
Wanting to kill people, who don't have the right to life because they are not a person as defined by the government and or state, meaning if you're not 3 or older, you are not a person, therefore have no right to life. And we're getting into after-birth abortions, also vaccines and eugenics.
Folks, look, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to take the top of the hour break right now to fix some audio problems.
Issues.
We've got some issues here, indeed, because I can hear the white noise, and if I can hear it, I know you can.
Yeah, I can hear it too.
It's quite loud. So
when we come back, we're going to get into a bunch of stories. We have a whole list of things that need to be covered, and hopefully we can get to them all tonight. Plus your phone calls, FBI tracking and monitoring Americans via smartphones. Also, 9 men arrested at New Orleans Decadence Festival for religious free speech after sundown. This title from WorldNet Daily, Now It's Biblical, Obama 316 at DNC, God sent his son, and we have Hawaii birth certificate to prove it.
U.S. Department of Justice Holder closes probe of Sheriff Joe Arpaio, so we know that was purely political.
Yeah, also.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE Chief of Staff resigns, Susan Barr. And Obama, you think he's a Russian agent? Well, stay tuned and we'll find out together.
Also, food stamp use climbs to its record new high. 46.7 million people are now on
a lot of people.
Welfare or food stamps. We'll be back, folks, after these short messages while we fix our audio problems. Hang with us.
Hi folks, Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Ilena Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your #1 priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have a long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the Brick Pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP Brick Packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com, or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
And folks, I talked to the Freeze Dry Guy last night. I got to tell you, he's working on Labor Day, and he was working last night. Folks, if you have the need, if you haven't gotten freeze-dried food, if you haven't gotten your pantry filled yet, give him a call. Go to HomelandSecurityUS.com, click on the banner where it says Freeze Dry Guy. Click on that banner. Give their office a call. Now, I got to tell you something, and he did not authorize me to share this, but I know that he had a situation where he was attacked in terms of a cyber attack, and some certain things happened. So if you had an email to him for any specific question or concern, or you wanted more information and you have not gotten a response back, please email him again. That's Freeze Dry Guy. But that said, folks, let me tell you what, he will fix you right up in terms of freeze-dried food, food for your pantry, and food for things to come, and other survival gear. He's got my vote. He's a nice guy, and I'll tell you, he will take good care of you. Just mention Doug and Joe Hagmann. We know we don't get a commission from it either.
If you're stumped, you don't know what kind of gift to give to a friend or a loved one, I'm telling you, you must go to 4physics.com. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. This is your one-stop shop. That's the only way I can put it. I could spend easily an hour on this website. Innovative, fun, educational. There are games, books, weather instruments, unique time-telling devices, jewelry, optical devices, laboratory equipment. Let me give you an example. We all know we can tell time with a sundial. You've seen those advertised. Did you know that you could tell time by the stars? At 4physics.com, you can buy a horologium nocturnum. This was a navigational device used in the 15th century by navigators at night to tell time by the stars. It's beautifully crafted in the shape of a pendant made of bronze and pewter or gold and silver. Absolutely a stunning gift. I would be proud to give it to anyone. You must go to 4physics.com. Even if you're not stumped, that's 4physics. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. It's your one-stop shopping palace. Any problems that you have, I don't know what to get Grandpa, I don't know what to get my loved one, that's unique, you will find it at 4physics.com. Please take my word for it. Go to the website, but give yourself a lot of time because you're not going to want to leave. 4physics.com.
Doug Hagmann. One guy that doesn't need a bullhorn to get your attention. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Get my pen back, huh? Get your own pen. That's odd. Here. Have this pen, but there. Oh.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the end of hour number 1, but the end of our top of the hour break. So we are here until the end of the show.
Hey, don't confuse me.
Today is Tuesday, September 4th, 2012, the day after Labor Day.
And I think I said Monday when we first came on. Folks in the chat room, thank you for bearing with us for that miserable 45 minutes in terms of sound. Is this any better?
Yeah. After we played, went to that video, we had this terrible white noise and then this digital disturbance in our audio where we couldn't even hear ourselves talking to each other, so we had to stop.
Actually, it was worse than a loop of. It was like almost like a loop of white noise, and it was.
It's the kind of stuff that happens when Steve comes on, but never when we're on alone. So
yeah, before we take calls, and we will take calls. Your calls at 661-244-9839. I always do that. Sorry. before we take your phone calls, you know, we've been warned so many times about money and about the Fed and everything. And I know Glenn Beck had done this. Had talked about this. So many people had talked about the shadow government. And it was interesting because I did have a chance to actually watch a television or an HBO movie with my wife, the first movie I think I've watched with her in 2 years.
And I want to say thanks to Dog in the chat room for sending me this. This was where I got it from yesterday. And it's called Verified Warnings from Former U.S. Presidents About the Invisible Government Running the U.S. with No Allegiance to the People.
Well, the movie I watched was about J. Edgar Hoover. Okay, and it was pretty historically accurate. And coincidentally, my wife told me that was directed by Clint Eastwood. You know, of course, the guy at the everyone knows, but he made recent headlines at the Republican convention. But anyway, J. Edgar Hoover said this about this shadow government and the money that's behind this power. J. Edgar Hoover said, the individual is handicapped by coming face-to-face with a conspiracy so monstrous he cannot believe it exists. The American mind simply has not come to a realization of the evil which has been introduced into our midst. It rejects even the assumption that human creatures could espouse a philosophy which must ultimately destroy all that is good and decent.
Now, I gave you page 2 of that.
But you know, I got to tell you this. Now, some say that he talks about this is a reference to communism. It might very well be. However, you know, and I get people that say, "Oh, you took it out of context and stuff." But no, look, in this case, because I've got the definitive book on J. Edgar Hoover, it's all 16 volumes, I think, and the authorized and unauthorized biographies. He's talking about the shadow government in this case.
And to go to the founders and what they say about this shadow government. Thomas Jefferson states, I sincerely believe with you that the banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies.
Yeah.
He went on to say many things about the shadow government and the ability of foreign banking influence to come in and take control of the people. Teddy Roosevelt said in an autobiography, besides the government sites enthralled in an invisible government, owning no allegiance and acknowledging no responsibility to the people. To destroy this invisible government, to befoul the unholy alliance between corrupt businesses and corrupt politics is the first task of the statesmanship of the day. That was the 26th President Theodore Roosevelt.
You know, and to close this out, because we're not going to read quotes all day, but I got to tell you this. One that caught my attention was Senator Daniel Inouye from Hawaii, and this was during the Iran-Contra hearings, and I think that this kind of brings it more recent, and it also talks a little bit to really the people who are alive today and in our government today. He said this, and it's on YouTube. You can find this. He said, there exists a shadowy government with its own Air Force, its own Navy, its own fundraising mechanism, and the ability to pursue its own ideas of national interest, free from all checks and balances, and free from the law itself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And David Rockefeller and the Council on Foreign Relations, we know about what he has said as far in his autobiography of working for this is his exact quote, some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists and conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure. One world, if you will. If that's a charge, I stand guilty, and I am proud of it. And this email also goes on to state cognitive dissonance. And J. Edgar Hoover...
Dissonance,
sorry.
That's all right.
He said, the American mind simply has not come to the realization of the evil which has been introduced into their midst.
That's
it rejects even the assumption that human creatures could espouse a philosophy which must ultimately destroy all that is good and decent. And that's exactly where we are right now, because we have a huge gap between the people who are aware and the people who are unaware.
Didn't I just read that?
I don't know.
From J. Edgar Hoover?
No, yeah. I don't. This is on the dissidents part, but
okay,
on a different page. But basically, all these quotes, and we can. I mean, we have our own the history, chronological history of a New World Order. If you look that up, it's like a 120-page PDF on everybody's quotes. Whoever said anything about world government or a globalization, whether in the UN, in their own countries, press conferences, or in the United States, whether presidents or not. And I suggest everybody go do their research and look up the history of the New World Order.
Thousands of quotes.
Yeah. Getting back into news, and we're going to go to your calls after that. Let's see. We have a lot of stuff to get into. Jim Rogers.
Yeah, folks, understand this, obviously, and I'm sure you guys know this. Right with the holiday, the long weekend, the Friday news dump was tremendous. This is part of it.
Oh, yeah. We'll start with this, because this thing came September 1st, and there's been an audit of the Federal Reserve, which reveals a $16 trillion given away in secret bailouts. Now, this isn't new information, because this information came out. It just did not come out on paper until now.
It didn't come out with the level of specificity
it
did.
Now, listen to this. Listen to these people, these political creatures who got together to get this passed, this audit the Fed bill. The first ever Government Accountability Office audit of the Federal Reserve was carried out in the past few months due to the Ron Paul, Alan Grayson amendment to the Dodd-Frank bill, which passed last year. Jim DeMint, a Republican senator, and Bernie Sanders, an independent senator, led the charge for a Federal Reserve audit. Yeah. Only the problem is there was a watered-down version that was released instead of the original language of the bill. The result was the first audit in Federal Reserve's nearly 100-year history was posted on Senator Sanders' webpage earlier this morning.
You know, what was revealed in the audit was extremely startling. The fact that $16 trillion had been given in secret to U.S. banks,
now think
corporations, and foreign banks.
Our national debt just hit what?
It was $16 trillion.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're giving out bailouts from everywhere from France to Scotland to Ireland to who knows where, but between December 2007 and June 2010, the Fed had bailed out many of the world's banks.
And we're going to get into those banks, plus
corporations and other governments even.
It's not loans they're giving out, it's bailouts. So as the Federal Reserve likes to refer to these secret bailouts as all-inclusive loan programs, none of the money, they say virtually none of the money has been paid back, and also they loaned this money out at 0% interest.
Yeah, zero.
So they go on to say why the Federal Reserve has never been public about this or even informed the U.S. Congress about the $16 trillion bailout is obvious. The American public would have been outraged to find out that Federal Reserve bailed out foreign banks while Americans were struggling to find jobs.
Think about this, $16 trillion, okay? Folks, understand, our GDP is only $14.5 trillion, roughly, give or take. The entire national debt is of our entire history is only $14.5 trillion. So you're looking at $16 trillion. I mean, as Pastor Paul would say, are you serious?
Yeah. And it goes on. It says, this is a clear case of socialism for the rich and rugged. You're on your own individualism for everyone else. Bernie Sanders said, the socialist.
Socialist.
He's complaining about socialist policies. The socialist is complaining about socialist policies.
And folks, look, if you're not angry about this, you're not paying attention, because this is
It says Americans should be swelled with anger and outrage at the betrayal of the state when the unelected group of bankers can create money out of thin air, give it out to mega banks and super corporations like candy. If the Federal Reserve and the bankers who control it believe they can continue to devalue the savings of Americans and continue to destroy the U.S. economy, they will have to face the realization that their trillion-dollar printing presses will eventually plunder the world economy. Now, listen to this.
Yeah, look, the listing of institutions that received the most from this bailout. Here they are, real quick. Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, Barclays from the United Kingdom, Bear Stearns, Goldman Sachs, Royal Bank of Scotland, J.P. Morgan Chase, Deutsche Bank, UBS, which is a Swiss bank, Credit Suisse, Lehman Brothers, Bank of Scotland,
Lehman Brothers, yeah.
BNP Paribas of France, and there are others. But the report spans 266 pages.
Now, think about this.
And it's dated July 21st, 2011.
Think about this. Where is it? The
was just released, yes, correct.
Barclays
Bank.
Given $868 billion.
That's right.
The TARP bailout was $800 billion, okay? The TARP bailout for America, $800 billion.
Right.
Barclays was given $868 billion, and these are the same people who were involved in the LIBOR scandal.
Okay, right. This is a redistribution of wealth. This is creation of money out of thin air, as you say. All they're doing is adding zeros, digital zeros. But here's the problem. We are as taxpayers, we are expected to pay for this. Now, see,
they're going to have to come.
Well, yeah, you can. But here's here's the deal. This devalues our own dollar, and this is going to single-handedly, this and some other things. I shouldn't say single-handedly. This is going to contribute to the demise of the American dollar.
Yeah, as Jim Rogers says, it's going to get really bad after the next election, and also possibly before the next election, as he refers to it as financial Armageddon, saying he fully expects the economy to implode after the election. He went on to say that
everybody's holding up. They're just kind of balancing everything for the election.
Like you stated, which is a great analogy, paying off one credit card with another credit card. And eventually that's not going to continue. They say with the Fed's license to print money, Jim Rogers says, he puts the blame squarely on U.S. and European governments for abusing their license to print the money, and how the debt has surged to $16 trillion. That's more than $50,000 for every single American man, woman, and child in the U.S.
It's nuts. It really is. Let's take a call before you would choke here.
Okay.
All right. We're going to go to. We're going to take the folks. We don't screen calls, so we're going to take the calls in the order in which they were received. 704. You've been very patient. You've been on hold for 30 minutes. We want to take your call. 704. You're on with Doug and Joe. Go ahead. 704 area code.
That might be a listener.
As always, Joe, I'm listening.
Okay. All righty.
Thank you for your call.
I figured maybe we put them to sleep. We didn't want to do that. We're going to go to area code 208. That's area code 208. You're on with Doug and Joe Hagmann.
Good evening, Doug and Joe.
Well, good evening.
How are you?
What's on your mind?
This is Kate in Idaho.
Kate in Idaho. What's Idaho doing?
Yeah, I called once before.
Yes.
And you've got an email in your box, by the way. I tried to get to Joe, but the address wouldn't work, so I sent it to you. You can give it to him or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, to that article that you were talking about just a little while ago about the DNC changing their platform.
Yes.
Removing God and talking about faith. Well, first of all, God is a title. That could be any God. Even idols are gods, you know. Some people, singers are gods. You know, maybe your cars are gods. Doesn't make much difference. But faith is also extremely generic. Everybody has faith in something, even if it's just themselves. And so it does not necessarily mean anything that has anything to do with religion. Democrat platform, Republican platform, that's what it is, a platform. It is not a doctrine, and it is not a denomination. Now, I may be sounding like I'm a Democrat. I am not, by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay.
Matter of fact, what I'm really talking about here is if there is anybody out there in hearing distance that is a Democrat, I'm not attacking them. Not going to, because there are good people that are Democrats. I know because I used to be one.
Okay.
I was a fire-breathing Kennedy Democrat.
Okay.
At any rate, they need to really think about this, because what they should do is look up this new platform that they have designed and read it very carefully, because if you are claiming to be a Christian, love God, love Jesus, you cannot be a Democrat with that platform, flat out. And the reason why is here in Revelation 18:4. I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, so that you will not participate in her sins and receive of her plagues. For her sins have piled up as high as heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities." Now, I firmly believe that Babylon in Revelation is the United States, if you go on and read the description of it further. And if you are taking in part in a platform, and if you say you are a Democrat and you are registered as a Democrat, then you are supporting their platform. And if you are doing that, then that scripture applies to you dramatically so. Because everything in that platform is absolutely everything a Christian cannot possibly take part in or agree with and still call themselves Christian.
Well, I want to tell you,
abortion.
Is this what you're talking about, moving America Forward 2012 Democratic National Platform?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, she
I've
is.
just got the PDF, and I will be going through this.
That's the same thing that we were talking
Right.
about. That was excerpted from that file.
Right, but this is 40 pages. I have not gone through the whole thing. Has you gone through the whole PDF by chance?
No.
No. Okay.
I have read both platforms extensively. I was quite active. After I realized what the Democrats were turning into, I dumped them and went Republican. And I was just a fire breathing on that side.
Well,
I am nothing now. My allegiance is to God and His kingdom.
And there you go. That's it. Okay, you can be a Look, the Democrats and Republicans to me are the same. Are virtually the same. Now, people might say, "Wait a minute,"
are.
You know, exactly
same mindset. Yeah.
Here's the thing. What happened was the Democrats. I suppose the old-fashioned Democrats have moved very far left, and the Republicans have moved far left with them. So now what used to be a Democrat in 1960, I'll say, is a Republican
now.
Constitutionalist.
Exactly. Yeah, you know. So again, that right-left Democrat-Republican paradigm is no longer. You know, so
what I'm talking about, Doug, is it's real important that they understand what they're supporting when they're supporting calling themselves Democrat. Because if you're whatever party you are, read that platform.
Right.
And be absolutely certain as a Christian you can support what they're standing for.
I agree.
Because it said right there, "Get out of her, my people."
Well, I got to tell you,
have to,
on the same side.
You know, you have to be a part of the world, but not a part of it. As far as, you know, a lot of this kind of stuff.
Well, you sound like John. I mean, John Price has written a book, End of America, and we had him on our program. And John Price believes America is the Babylon of the Bible.
I do too, very strongly so.
Okay, so and I'll tell you what, he's got some good points. I mean, look at the clues, the 31 plus clues that he had given us in this book. End of America.
I want to add this: the Republican Party platform, although I have not looked at it. I would say stay away from either party's ideals or anything that they are pushing as their agenda is one with the globalists. They may, as we've seen in recent weeks, the Republicans now have running on a platform of backing of the money with gold and want to restore the value of the dollar and, you know, audit the Federal Reserve. I mean, these are ways to trap people, desperate Americans who are looking for real solutions back into that thought process of, okay, well, the Republicans can help us now. And I just want to warn people to be wary about, you know, getting involved in either side of the coin. We need to be independent.
Absolutely. Good point, Joe. Good point.
Thank you.
I really believe that if a person feels in their gut that they have to be politically active, that they should be of neither of the primary parties. The only thing you cannot do is vote in a primary. After that, the main election. You can vote for anybody you want to. Republican, Democrat, it don't matter.
Well, Kate, you made an interesting or a very valuable contribution to this program. Indeed, I want to thank you very much. We're going to cut you loose. We have an international caller we got to take, so we're going to grab that. You take care. Thanks.
Okay, but please look for my email, please.
I think I need an
answer.
Kate, I believe I did send that to him, but I will double check.
Yeah, if you don't mind, real quick, when did you send that?
This afternoon.
Okay. Right. I'm sure I did, but I will double check with that and send it to him.
Yeah, I'll get right back to you.
Thank you, Kate.
Okay, thank you, guys. Love you both. Bye-bye.
Love you too, Kate. Thank you.
All righty. We're going to go to an international caller. International caller, you're on with Doug and Joe Hagmann.
Hello?
Yes, Doug and Joe Hagmann. You're on the Hagmann Report.
Okay. I'm the gentleman from Wales.
Hey, how you doing?
Remember me?
I remember you. Joe remembers you. We do, very fondly. How are you, sir?
Not too bad.
It's good.
I love your show. I'm just wondering what you think about Clint Eastwood's. What an embarrassment Clint Eastwood was with his little show.
I just wanted to ask you to interject here. I did not see what he said, and I'm not sure if a lot of our listeners did.
Well, then
could you summarize it?
No, I'll summarize it.
Okay.
You spent caller. I'll tell you what. Here's what and folks listening to this program, I watched it. I had to watch it twice. Okay, because the first time I thought, wait a minute, boy, is this an embarrassment? Or boy, did he really kind of go off the rails?
Yeah, because I heard so much about it, didn't hear it.
And I think he went 12 minutes long, caller. I can't remember, but it was kind of a long time. And I thought, man, because I know him. Of course, everyone knows him as Dirty Harry, or or if you're a female, Bridges of Madison County. So I'm thinking, oh wait. The first time I watched it, I thought, wow, he looked a little bit, I don't know, like he was off script or a little bit off his mark. But I watched it the second time, and then I heard about some things I didn't know about before. For example, he didn't use a script. He ad-libbed everything, and that sure was a last-minute addition. So when you start thinking about this, the guy was pretty good at 82 years old in front of a national audience, and I respect him for saying, kind of thumbing his nose at the convention people. They're telling him, hey, Clint, you got to keep it to 6 minutes, and here's your script, here are your talking points. Yeah. In true form, God bless him, Clint Eastwood says, no. No, he just went off on his own.
Well,
there's multiple